The network shared on social media that Joni Lamb passed away this morning. It says she experienced serious health problems that were only made worse by recent back injuries.
A few weeks before her death, Joni Lamb took a surprising step. She quietly removed her husband's name from a multi-million-dollar property, isolating ownership in her own trust. This unexpected move raises difficult questions. Why would someone facing the end of life distance a spouse from such a valuable asset? Joni was battling a serious illness that she kept mostly private, while navigating complicated family and ministry challenges. Behind the scenes, tangled relationships and unresolved tensions hint at reasons deeper than typical estate planning, inviting us to consider what really influenced her decision. The quitclaim deed explained. In the final weeks of her life, Joni Lamb made a quiet but striking legal decision. She signed a quitclaim deed that removed her husband, Doug Weiss, from the title of a $2.9 million beach condominium in Florida. This property had been jointly owned since its purchase in September 2023, shortly after their marriage. Without announcement or fanfare, the deed transferred full ownership into Joni's personal revocable trust, effectively isolating the asset under her control alone. A quitclaim deed is a straightforward legal tool. Unlike a warranty deed, it offers no guarantees about the title, only transferring whatever interest the grantor holds. In this case, Joni simply gave up joint ownership rights that Doug Weiss had held. The timing of this transfer, occurring just 8 weeks before she died, has drawn intense scrutiny. Questions swirl around why she would remove a spouse's name from such a substantial asset at such a vulnerable moment. Joni's health at the time was fragile and privately serious. She was battling metastatic bone cancer, though publicly this was largely masked as a back injury and other unspecified ailments. Her husband on record, Doug Weiss, told viewers she was coping with 2 hairline fractures in her spine, but the full reality remained undisclosed until after her death. The quiet nature of the deed, filed away through routine public records channels, contrasts sharply with its emotional and legal weight. This legal move hints at complexities beneath the surface. It raises unsettled questions about trust, protection, and the future of assets in a family and ministry wrought with tension. The act itself does not explain the reasons, but invites speculation. Was this a standard estate planning step, a protective measure, or something deeper connected to personal or family dynamics? By setting Joni's trust as the sole owner, she bypassed joint ownership and its potential complications after her death. The usual purpose of placing assets in a revocable trust is to ensure smooth estate transition without probate delays. Given the layers of conflict within this family's story, the deed's implications might stretch beyond routine legal strategy. It is an invitation to look closer at the relationships involved. What makes this transfer especially compelling is Joni's intelligence and experience. She was not naive about legal or financial matters. Having navigated public scandals and managed a complex ministry empire, her decisions carried intention. She understood the stakes and likely contemplated the consequences deeply before signing this deed. The quiet filing contrasts with the larger story unfolding publicly, a story involving ministry influence, family struggles, and financial mysteries. The deed acts as a tangible marker of Joni's final acts, but also as a doorway into the context that shaped those decisions. It demands a closer look at who Doug Weiss is and what his role was in this story. This brings us to a crucial figure in the story, Doug Weiss, and understanding his presence in Joni Lamb's life and ministry. Who is Doug Weiss? Doug Weiss is a licensed psychologist based in Colorado Springs, who carved out a notable position in Christian counseling circles. He founded Heart to Heart Counseling Center, which offers intensive multi-day programs aimed at couples grappling with explicit addiction, infidelity, and what he terms intimacy anorexia. His approach focuses on emotional and physical withdrawal within marriage, a concept he popularized through his books and media appearances. Over the years, Weiss authored more than 40 books on marriage and healing, building a reputation as an expert figure within faith-based communities. His counseling style attracted couples in crisis, offering hope through, he claimed, both professional licensing credentials and faith. Yet, his credentials became a point of contention. While licensed as a professional counselor and psychologist in Colorado, Weiss never held a license as a marriage and family therapist, a designation he misrepresented at times, according to formal state admonitions. Weiss's professional record includes 2 official reprimands from the Colorado State Board. One letter, issued in 2002, found that he had falsely presented himself as a licensed marriage and family therapist. The other, from 2010, criticized his handling of a 3-day counseling intensive, describing his interventions as more destructive than therapeutic. Instead of easing marital conflict, he allegedly rushed couples toward divorce discussions and asset distributions. These issues are a matter of public record. Despite controversy, Weiss gained years of exposure on Daystar television network, appearing alongside Joni and Marcus Lamb to discuss marriage, healing, and restoration. To Daystar's Christian audience, he was the trusted counselor and authority figure on rebuilding broken relationships. This presence built not only public trust, but institutional ties within the ministry founded by the Lambs. The relationship between Weiss and Joni became more intimate and complicated after Marcus Lamb's death in late 2021. Weiss divorced his wife of more than 30 years, less than 2 months after Marcus passed away, though he delayed announcing the divorce publicly for about 8 months. During that period, he continued counseling clients, maintaining the image of a successful marriage counselor while privately transitioning into a new chapter with Joni. Their courtship began in mid-2022 and moved quickly, culminating in marriage by June 10, 2023. This union brought Weiss officially into the Lamb family and the leadership circle of Daystar. However, the marriage was met with resistance by Joni's children and others within the ministry, deepening existing family and organizational tensions. The timeline around Marcus Lamb's death and Weiss's own personal changes helps reveal the backdrop against which Joni made her decisions. Holding these timelines in mind sharpens our view of the events to come. Timeline of events. After Marcus Lamb's death. Marcus Lamb, co-founder of Daystar Television, died on November 30, 2021, at the age of 64. His passing followed hospitalization for COVID-19, with public reports describing his death as resulting from heart failure. This occurred against the backdrop of Daystar's well-known vaccine skepticism and opposition to public health mandates, which added a layer of public irony to the tragedy. Less than 2 months later, on January 27, 2022, Doug Weiss filed for divorce from his wife of over 30 years. Court records corroborate this timing, illustrating the rapid shift in his personal life following Marcus's death. Yet, Weiss did not publicly disclose the divorce until February 8, 2023, nearly a year later. During that time, he continued to operate his counseling business, presenting a stable image to clients amid his private transition. By August 2022, Weiss and Joni Lamb had begun a courtship publicly described as chaperoned and careful, but moving quickly. The couple traveled together, and by March 2023, Weiss proposed. Their marriage was formalized in June 2023, less than a year after Marcus Lamb's death and well before Weiss's divorce became generally known. This chronology highlights a pattern of concealment and rapid change that unfolded within the inner circle of Daystar's leadership. The delay in announcing Weiss's divorce while courting Joni adds tension to the narrative, especially given his role counseling couples on fidelity and trust. Amid these developments, Joni was privately battling a serious illness. Her metastatic bone cancer remained largely undisclosed, with public statements hinting only at a back injury. Weiss himself mentioned her spine fractures in April 2026, but the full scope of her condition was unknown to most. The timeline also intersects with family strife. Joni's children, Particularly Jonathan and Joni Lamb opposed her marriage to Weiss on both biblical and personal grounds. Their resistance amplified internal divisions, creating a chasm within the family that extended into the ministry's leadership. The story of family and ministry tensions grows darker and more complicated as these dates unfold, setting the stage for the next chapter in this saga. Family and ministry tensions. The marriage between Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss was far from a quiet union. Joni's children, especially Jonathan and Joni Lamb, voiced strong opposition to the relationship, citing biblical reasons and concerns about Weiss's background and character. Their resistance was vocal and persistent, creating public fissures within the family that had long dominated Daystar Television's leadership. This tension wasn't limited to private disagreements. It spilled into ministry circles and led to strained loyalties on all sides. Evidence of this opposition includes the involvement of a family pastoral counselor named Denise Boggs, who reportedly tried to rally Joni's children against the marriage. The effort to block or at least question the union intensified existing fractures already present within the Lamb family. Rachel Lamb Brown, Joni's middle daughter, and her husband initially aligned with this resistance, though they later apologized to Joni. This internal conflict played out against a backdrop of public scrutiny, making it a divisive chapter in the ministry's history. The rift deepened when Jonathan Lamb was fired from Daystar in November 2024 after a lengthy internal review lasting 15 months. Jonathan claimed this was related to his and Susie's efforts to surface allegations of abuse within the ministry and their refusal to endorse the marriage between Joni and Doug publicly. Joni denied these claims, stating the termination arose from insubordination and performance failures. Yet, the timing and context fed speculation about deeper family and organizational divides shaping the ministry's leadership crisis. These family disputes occurred in an environment where Daystar itself faced questions about transparency and accountability. The ministry's governance structure, the control of significant financial assets, and the way family conflicts intertwined with organizational decisions blurred boundaries between personal and institutional interests. Joni assumed stewardship of a vast network, but also inherited complex relational dynamics that affected every aspect of its operation. Opposition to the marriage was not limited to family alone. Even Daystar executives, including Rachel's husband, Josh Brown, initially opposed the union. In his police interview, Josh admitted to participating in efforts to prevent the marriage, but later apologized. This willingness to publicly shift positions reflects the deep turmoil and shifting alliances inside the ministry's leadership circle. It paints a picture of a family and institution at odds, caught between faith, loyalty, and power struggles. At the heart of these tensions was the question of legacy and control. Marcus Lamb had left written directives about leadership succession, naming Jonathan as his successor, but these were never made legally binding. Jonathan's exclusion from leadership and memorial proceedings created a sense of displacement and betrayal that parallels the legal and financial moves Joni was making in her final months. These personal grievances intensified the uncertainty about Daystar's future. Joni's decision to quiet certain family members out of her final days and the absence of reconciliation before her death left lasting wounds. Her children were reportedly not even called to her bedside during her final moments. This estrangement speaks to a family fractured by loyalty, suspicion, and unresolved conflicts amid a high-profile ministry. It highlights the personal sacrifices and hidden pain behind public ministries and corporate facades. The deeper we go, the more financial complexities add another layer to an already tangled story. Financial and estate complexities. Joni Lamb's financial portfolio was vast and multi-layered, encompassing a real estate empire valued at nearly $12 million spread across multiple states, including Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Public property records documented 7 residential properties held by Joni at the time of her death, ranging from a multi-million-dollar waterfront condominium in Florida to a home under construction in North Texas. This substantial real estate holding was just one facet of an estate estimated by Wikipedia to be worth around $40 million. Beyond property, Joni's role as a ministry leader brought significant personal compensation. Internal documents reveal her annual pay had increased dramatically, with a reported rise of 140%, pushing her compensation to over $1 million in fiscal year 2023. Such figures underscore her central role in Daystar Television and the substantial financial resources flowing through the ministry under her stewardship. A striking element of the financial narrative includes the ministry's private jet usage. Analysis by the Trinity Foundation revealed that Daystar's 1997 Gulfstream G5 made dozens of round-trip flights in less than a year, shuttling passengers between Fort Worth and both Colorado Springs and Destin, Florida. The total estimated cost of these flights approached $800,000, an amount far exceeding commercial airfare alternatives. These flights aligned suspiciously with Weiss's residence in Colorado and a joint property search in Florida. Controversy also surrounded expenses charged to Daystar's corporate credit card. Expense reports obtained by investigative journalists documented thousands of dollars in charges at luxury resorts, including a nearly $14,000 bill at a Mexican resort during Joni and Doug's honeymoon. Although Joni denied misuse of ministry funds, and Daystar stated all personal charges were reimbursed by her, requests for documentation verifying such reimbursements went unanswered, deepening doubts about fiscal oversight. Jonathan Lamb, Joni's son and former Daystar vice president, raised specific objections to these charges at a board meeting in August 2023, only to report that credit card points were insufficient to cover the full costs. Following this meeting, a board member reportedly gifted Joni $100,000, a sequence of events that fueled concerns about transparency and governance within the ministry's leadership. It's important to note that Daystar operates as a religious organization claiming church status, which exempts it from filing detailed financial disclosures with the IRS. This lack of transparent financial reporting creates an environment where large sums and decisions remain hidden from public scrutiny, leaving room for questions about accountability and stewardship. Meanwhile, Doug Weiss's counseling enterprise, Heart to Heart, was also under scrutiny. Several former clients reported feeling harmed and gaslit during intensive counseling retreats, highlighting problematic practices including unreliable polygraph testing and expensive costs up to $15,000. Weiss faced 2 official reprimands from the Colorado Licensing Board related to misrepresented credentials and inappropriate counseling conduct. This professional controversy further complicates the financial and ethical landscape surrounding the ministry. All these financial elements, the extensive property holdings, the ministry jet usage, the lavish expenses, and controversial counseling business, form a complex backdrop to Joni Lamb's final decisions. They suggest that the quiet removal of Doug Weiss from the Florida condominium was part of a broader effort to manage significant assets in an environment marked by family discord, public scrutiny, and questions of governance. As financial tensions weave tightly with family conflicts, the motivations behind Joni Lamb's actions become more layered and difficult to untangle. Possible motivations and unanswered questions. Joni Lamb's decision to remove Doug Weiss from the jointly owned Florida condominium raises a host of unanswered questions. On the surface, transferring property to a personal revocable trust is a common estate planning tool used to clarify asset distribution and avoid probate. Given that Joni was privately battling metastatic bone cancer, this kind of restructuring would seem like a prudent step to protect her affairs. However, the timing and context suggest that the move carried emotional and relational weight beyond mere logistics. Joni's complex family dynamics cannot be overlooked. Her son Jonathan and daughter Susie were estranged from her in the final months, excluded from her bedside and memorial. These painful divisions, fueled by long-standing disputes and allegations, suggest that Joni may have been protecting certain interests within her estate from internal conflict. Removing Doug Weiss from the property title could reflect an effort to safeguard assets for her children or prevent contested claims amid family turmoil. Doug Weiss's rapid entrance into Joni's life shortly after divorcing his wife and his controversial professional history add layers of uncertainty. Despite being Joni's husband, Weiss's position within the ministry and family was far from secure. Whether Joni's legal move signified doubts about their relationship, a response to external pressures, or a clear message about inheritance boundaries is a question that remains unresolved. The lack of public explanation from Doug Weiss compounds the mystery. His response to Joni's death was measured but notably silent on the quit-claim deed or the family disputes. For a man whose career is built on open communication and counseling transparency, this absence of comment invites speculation about what was known privately and what was withheld from the public and family. Behind the scenes, Joni managed a significant estate estimated at $40 million, with properties valued around $11 million. The $2.9 million condominium in Florida was only one asset within a vast portfolio. How she intended to distribute these holdings, particularly amid the family divisions, adds further uncertainty to the reasons behind the property transfer. Did she prioritize certain heirs? Did she seek to limit Weiss's access as her illness worsened? These questions have no clear answers. Legal experts acknowledge that estate planning decisions in end-of-life scenarios often reflect a desire for control and protection, but this case is complicated by the public and personal turbulence surrounding Joni's final years. Her history of navigating crises, such as surviving Marcus Lamb's public extramarital affair and managing ministry challenges, demonstrates her acuity, making it unlikely the property decision was impulsive or uninformed. Furthermore, the operational opacity of Daystar Television's governance raises concerns about accountability. The ministry's claim of church status exempts it from certain financial disclosures, leaving many details around asset use, stewardship, and succession unclear. The lack of publicly available information about leadership after Joni's passing intensifies the enigma of her estate decisions and their implications for the organization's future. Joni Lamb's final legal move reveals a complex web of family strife, financial power, and personal conviction. While some answers remain out of reach, her story reminds us how deeply intertwined legacy and relationships can be. If you found this insight valuable, please like and subscribe for more thoughtful coverage on unfolding stories like this. Thanks for watching.